before this river becomes an ocean, before you throw my heart back on the floor. Oh, well, I reconsider my foolish notion. Well, I need someone to hold me, but I wait for something more, because I gotta have things. Ooh, I gotta have faith, 'cause I gotta have faith, faith, faith. I gotta have faith, faith, faith.
Hi, I'm Robin Hoffman. I'm a public artist here in Charlottesville, and some people want to know, what's a public artist? Well, a public artist, obviously, we are right now located in Philadelphia. And this is like the mural capital of the world, really. They have an art projects that go on all the time, especially near the college. And Philadelphia is just like a wonderful place to visit. Actually, my niece and nephew live there, my sister, and my dad used to work there for many, many years. So I'm very familiar with the city. And like most cities, it's changed a lot. And some of the things that the artists will have to contend with is that change. And like, as the generations continue, 10 years ago, the idea of a mural was much different than it is now. However, relevant in its own art form. For instance, what type of material you use, how it, the aesthetic looks in the neighborhood. These are all things that the public artist has to be aware of, but also approved for. A lot of times it's the architectural board that has to go through almost a 3-year process before a mural gets up. Of course, you know about the New York City scene where they had, graffiti for about 10 years. That's all about, self-expression and freedom of speech, but also it became sort of a design sensibility for people who are now in the design business for products such as the print and different brochures, different websites, and that sort of thing. It evolved from the movement from graffiti, and certainly people felt free to do it, like in a sort of environment like a train or whatever, that enabled them to learn how to use certain things quickly, like spray or whatever they had to do to get it there without being caught. But that actually lent itself to the materials, which is how art sort of evolves. Certainly now computers, imagery, we can take murals and we can make them on a projector through our computer and then paint on the wall. And certainly that makes it a lot easier. Notoriously, when I started doing murals in Park Slope on 60-foot walls and up, 2 stories or whatever on scaffolds, we used things called a grid instead of a projector. And that was on a piece of paper that had tape. So you knew where you were on the wall when you were painting. Because if you're right up close, you really don't see the whole thing. As a painter would normally paint like on a canvas or whatever, they see the thing or whatever. Okay, but anyway, here we are, and it is the Mural Acts project. Oh!
Hello, Robin.
Oh my goodness! How are you?
How are you?
Michele Madison.
Here I am.
You're surprising me in Philadelphia.
That's right, my hometown.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Good
Watch
to
out
see
we
you
don't run
too.
over the thing.
Mwah. What's going on? What do we have here?
Oh my goodness! So this actually is a mural that's in that's made by Willis, Humphrey, and Keir Johnson in Philadelphia, and it's called the Partner Mural Act or Arts. And so what this actually symbolizes, this mural, is sort of an Obama-like era where, you know, people of color and different like if they have disabilities and things like that, should be celebrated and not ignored. Finally. So it's kind of like what we have here in Richmond. So anyway.
Richmond?
Yeah. So now.
Now what?
So murals, by the way, and I know you know this, have to do with the idea of using now different materials. I have some materials here for you.
Beautiful.
Yes. So the different materials, you can do crayon, you can do anything you want, and so you're going to design one for
a mural.
for your UVA, for your new headquarters.
Oh, really?
Okay. And so you just kind of like, here's some paints and some brushes. And so as we talk, do you mind if you help me? I'm sorry, you were going to commission me, but now you can do it.
That's right, I can do it.
So can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Like, why are you here in Philadelphia?
Well, my family's still here, so I come back often to see the beautiful architecture and hang out with old friends.
But you also were a part of the school system. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
In Philadelphia, at Temple University? Yes, I coached at Temple University in 1989 to 1992, I believe it was. And yeah.
So you're like a big deal. It's not that you just coached, like you're just talking like very humbly, and that's kind of how you are. But I just want to say, you're a big deal. You're like the hidden figure of Charlottesville. Like nobody says, "Oh my God, there's Michele Madison."
Except
Everybody...
you.
It's true. It's true. I really feel very humbled being next to you right now. But anyway, so.
Anyway.
Let's so you just pick up a material while we talk. What do you think?
And what am I doing here? Just
you can't. Yes. Now here's the thing. This is my go ahead, just do. So you kind of have to be inspired by this. This is a primed masonite board. So go ahead. So you just go.
Philly?
Yes, you just go. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
No, this is about you. I have a feeling about it. I just looked at it and I have a feeling about it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do whatever I want to do. All right, so, but that's the thing about being a coach, a Hall of Fame coach. I mean, the thing is, you didn't get there by accident. You sort of must have like this key thing, which I guess is, first of all, being an athlete is being intelligent, right? It's kind of like using your art sense, but at the same time, you have to be very regimented and disciplined. But what do you think is the key to you being so successful? Did anybody ever ask you that question?
I love what I do. It doesn't feel like a job. Just helping young people learn about life through sport. And I guess that makes me happy to do that, so. That's what I like.
Yeah, and then the idea is that there are people that actually want to do competitive sports. They feel like if they don't do competitive sports, they're not going to do anything. They're just going to sit there and watch Netflix or something, right?
I guess.
And the thing is, you benefit so many people, like so many people through your education. Was it 30 years you've been doing this?
Plus.
Oh my goodness, Michele.
Yes, I was a very extended family. Many young women and some guys too who have been on my staff. But I've been very fortunate to have the career that I have.
Do you think that Charlottesville's going to be something that, you know, you live here, you are so much a part of the community here, and all that sort of stuff? What do you think about, like, the difference between, let's say, Philadelphia and Charlottesville?
Charlottesville is very connected. I think environmentally it's connected with sports, with arts, with the university, with just amazing people. I read this, the daily internet, I'll keep painting.
Yes.
Every day, and it amazes me what kind of things are happening. at the university and in Charlottesville every day.
Every day. It's
Every
not,
day. And it's growing tremendously. And Philly is a lot similar just in the history. You know, there's a lot of history there too. But yeah, Charlottesville is just an awesome place to live and work.
So you think it has to do with, and I'm just saying that because I live in Charlottesville. I used to live in the county, and now I live in the city too. And so now I feel like if I was still living in the county, I would have, I mean, I did it purposely. I decided to move closer to the activity. And I feel like if I was still in the county, I'd be like using a riding mower and feeling like Fred Flintstone and not really, you know what I'm saying, not really feeling the city. But now that I've been here in the city, so I've been in Charlottesville since 2006. What about you?
Exactly the same, Robin.
Oh my goodness! I
We
had
came
no
on the
idea.
same boat.
I had no idea.
Yep.
And we met, I forget how we met exactly, but I know that the one thing that sort of bonded me to you, I don't know if it's the same with you to me, but I really felt connected to you when you started telling me about your aspirations for a mural. And you described things, this is your rag, by the way.
Oh.
You described things that I felt like sort of an observer of people, humanity, you know, that sort of thing. Like you have an endearing part about you whereby, you know, you don't look at, I think you look at the individual. And so when you said to me, I want something abstract, I really like it when the water goes on the field and it has like this abstracted kind of light color thing going on. And I didn't believe you. I thought a coach was like somebody who needed to know all the rules and blah, blah, blah. And so I went back and I looked at a video of the girls doing the on the field hockey. Then I looked at the field and I did all these drawings. And then finally, I sort of listened to you.
Oh my.
And I said, oh, she wants something abstract.
Colorful, moving.
And so I finally did it.
And you did an amazing job.
And that was so much fun because you guys left me in the office, in the reception area. And then the next day you came in and decided that it was so good for what you wanted, you bought furniture for it.
That's right. To match.
But seriously, I learned, first of all, that you were the most humble person I've ever met in my life.
What?
So I walked in there at U-Haul and I see the whole office is filled with your trophies. And you know, when you had to move because U-Haul closed down, you were like, oh yeah, and those things, you know, we have to put them somewhere.
Yeah, they were in my basement while we wait for the new building to be built. But yeah.
So how is it with the girls and how you have to recruit them and that sort of thing?
What do you mean, how is it? They do amazing. I mean, they have to study. I have many traveling with youth national teams this month. So they have to leave for 3 or 4 days and juggle their academics and the hockey and everything else they do. You know, they do, they're just multifaceted and just amazing young women that I get to work with every day.
And I kind of not even know what you're talking about, but what I want to say is that I've met some of them, like waiting for you to get out of your meetings or whatever, while I was contemplating your mural, whatever it's called. But anyway, do you think it's changed in 30 years, like the perspective of like people who are athletes that have to go to university and then, I mean, the idea is that the selection of people who are doing sports and competitive sports and stuff like that Has it changed, do you think, the way people are going into it and then feeling like, you know, they're part of the university, or they're really, you know, educated, you know, and that sort of thing? They're very educated.
Well, sports is a lot's changing in the NCAA world with the NIL, name and likeness movements, where the athletes want to share some of the profit from the NC2A, and the NC2A has to come up with an answer for that situation. I think they have to redefine amateur and what amateur really is, and really be transparent of what an amateur athlete is or who is, and are we really dealing with amateur athletes in college if we're subsidizing basically everything for them, for their life expenses, cost of attendance, tutors, everything. So I think once they get a good definition on what an amateur athlete is, then they can find answer to the questions.
But so that's different than 30 years ago?
Yes.
Oh. Do you think it has to do with the commercialism of it, or whatever it's called?
I think it has to do with the coaches' salaries. That's one of the things up when you hear coaches getting paid $14 million a season, or, you know, then there's a lot of money floating around. And the athletes start to think, well, what about us? You know, and I think that's what we've come to. And I don't think there's a great understanding.
They don't have free education?
Well, those on scholarship have free education.
Free? Totally free?
Mm-hmm. Okay. If you're on a full ride.
Uh-huh. But they have to stay the whole 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is?
No.
In the sport?
I mean, they sign the contract to get the
free
scholarship they do.
Each year. But let's say they feel like they can't do it, or they get hurt. Do they get paid the whole 4 years, whatever it's called?
It depends. There's situations for everything.
Uh-huh.
If they get hurt and they can't play anymore, then yes, we still honor the scholarship.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's that people say, and not for residential, but let's say you go overseas or whatever, how much it costs you to go to school anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like, so I have a
close friend
whose son is going to Carnegie Mellon. He went on he went on a running scholarship. She landed up, and she's like, how do you say, like, won the lottery? She didn't have to pay more than $7,000 a year for him to go to Carnegie Mellon.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is that academic or sports?
Yeah, he's on a running scholarship, and then he is studying AI, artificial intelligence. Mm-hmm. So it's on, I think it's on the bilateral, whatever it's called, I don't even know, where they need him because of his mathematical whatever prowess, and then they need him because they, you know, are not known for their sports per se, and then people watch sports and they want to feel. See, that's the whole thing about sports.
What's the whole thing, Robin, about sport? Tell me what the whole thing is about sport. We love it. We can't live without it.
Yeah.
We can't live with it. We can't live without it.
Spike Lee graduated 2 years before me. Is a film director, and I watch all his films because he went to NYU, so did I. And then, you know, that's how it started. And I love film and that sort of thing. But anyway, he always goes to the Laker game. Mm-hmm. You can't see him not go to a Laker game. He will go there till his dying day to a Laker game.
Right.
And I will always go to the UVA women's basketball game.
You were supposed to say field hockey.
I do go to the field hockey game as much as I can, but a lot of times what happens is in the evening is when I go to the basketball game, because it's a short run. They only have like 4 or 5 games here, or whatever it's called. And the thing is, I don't know what the thing is, but I go to the field hockey games just to see, you know, to see my friends. But I really get charged by, especially because I studied it, you know, with the mural. I get charged up about these athletes. the crazy good. How does anybody, that's what I wanted to ask you. You know what, we can forget about this whole conversation. The reason you're here.
Okay, why am I here? That's a question we all want to know. Why am I here?
What kind of exercises do I have to do to get in shape to run like that? Do they have like a standard, yeah?
Yeah, they start training as soon as they get back from Christmas. They start on their strength and conditioning program. Josh Miller is their strength and conditioning coach. And they train 4 or 5 times a week to get fit. Start with the weights first and the running, build the base, and then we start with practices. We go to the indoor national tournament this weekend up in outside of Philadelphia.
Okay, so they're doing weights. Now, I saw something on Charlottesville Public Access TV, actually. I was streaming, and I saw this woman doing strengthening her legs.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of what I thought notoriously, I ride my bicycle every day because I just enjoy it. It makes my heart and my lungs clean, so to speak. Like when I come back, I feel refreshed, from my ride. Not only because of the air, because I'm pumping something, and I'm thinking, well, how come my butt is still so big? But anyway, the reason is, I found out, it's a type of exercises for running is different than pumping your bicycle, that sort of thing. And that some of the strengthening of my legs has to do with the type of exercise. So for running, I mean, that's key in field hockey, is that you have to run all the time, right?
You have to like running, yes. When we meet an athlete who says, well, I don't really like to run, it's like, well, you kind of picked the wrong sport. Unless you're the goalkeeper, of course. But yeah, there's a lot of running involved, and the athletes are trained at such a high level, really, to play Division I and ACC field hockey. They're amazing athletes.
Well, and I also know that you enjoy the arts because you go to the tom-tom things.
Yes, I spoke there.
Yes, you spoke there as well in 2016 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how you on behalf of what do you think?
Actually, I was talking about the sport analytics. It was just kind of starting then. How we were using heart rate, and all the athletes wear a gadget, and we can tell when they're tired, when their heart rate drops, when it accelerates, how they're functioning, utilizing oxygen, and the field has just expanded exponentially since even then. I mean,
why? Oh, you mean the field?
Just the analytics. No, the field of sports and analytics.
Oh.
Everyone is analyst now for everything.
Data.
Yeah, kind of like baseball always had it for what pitches this pitcher throws. I mean, just the whole Houston Astros situation. Where do you draw the line of it being illegal? We're all using information. I know what penalty corners opponent uses. I know which one they use on the first corner, most likely, and the percentages of that. So sports analytics it's just changing how sport is played and who's making the decisions.
It really is kind of like saying there's no climate change and then having the data. So it's really not changed for me, sports. What's changed is the fact that you're not given leeway. Like, actually, it's like, what's his name?
Armstrong.
What? Lance. Like, he set this precedent, and he was bullshit. I'm sorry, he was not forthcoming with his drug use. So, but what happened was, for the bicyclists, they thought, oh my God, I have to be as good as him.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so these certain athletes who cheat, like the Olympics, they try to get the Russian people and the other countries to do drug tests and this and that, because you set a precedence. Analytics for me, like I went to the UVA data.
Did you?
No. I go there, like for all the data paloozas. But what I'm trying to say, I met the Philip Osborne, he's the director of the new UVA data school, but he was doing this data palooza every year, and I always attended. I don't know exactly, except that I met him on a hike, and he had to listen to me for an hour. Okay, anyway.
And he'll never be the same.
That's true, but they had this thing at the alumni last year. I'm also an alumni, even because of my ex-husband. But anyway, so I'm grandfathered in. So I go to the alumni things before the football games, seminars. They had this panel. So it was your director of the athletics. What's her name again?
Carla.
Yes. What's her last name?
Carla Williams.
Yes. And she's like really brilliant. And then,
she's amazing.
Yes. And then also there's what was like several other coaches, but I can't remember exactly their names. But anyway, they were on a panel, and then they had the UVA data school.
Yes.
And then they had Catapult. And Catapult is a company that puts all that data in your clothes. So your football helmet mouthpiece tells if you
You're grinding your teeth.
No, it tells you if you had a concussion, because it emits some kind of chemical. Your sweatshirt or your clothes on your chest gives you the vital signs. And then your shoes actually give you the chemistry if you're fatiguing or going about to anyway. So I just have to say, because we really had a good time, that what do you think about your mural? This could be on anybody's wall. This could be on UVA's new locker room wall. What do you think? We could do a big one.
All I know is you're the artist, and I won't be doing any murals lately.
But yes,
you
must have. Look, yours is a lot moving and a lot, like, how do you say, like eye appealing than mine. Mine, it was just kind of like, I don't know. That is a mural.
Yeah.
It has depth, and it really, makes you. It's fun. It's good.
Thank you.
But yes, and so I just want to say I love you very much, and can you do a UVA cheer, please?
Wahoo wah? Yeah. Want to do it on three?
Yes. Come on, stand up.
1, 2, 3. Wahoo wah!
Before this river